welcome to my journey and to another meal prep. This one is different than it's been in quite a while. It's the WW meal prep. Yeah, I'm going to give you the points. So, what are we making today? We're making two new recipes. Both of them comes from the Emily Bites blog. Sandra sent me that, said had I ever looked up, so I started looking up, and oh my gosh, I found a number of recipes I wanted to try from her. So I've not tasted, I'm doing this while everything's still cooking. So I've not tasted anything. I don't, you'll know at the end of the recipe. I'll give you what I changed and whatnot, because I did have to change a few things simply because one thing I forgot to buy. And then just other little odds and ends reasons why you change things in a restaurant recipe. So the breakfast is a bubble up breakfast casserole. And what caught my eye is, first of all, it uses canned biscuits, and I had one can of biscuits left from my dumplings. And I said, well, there's a perfect way to use it up. And it uses sweet potato. I have some sweet potatoes down there that need to be used. So I said, we're going to try it. It was sounding very different to me, so we're going to give it a go. And then lunch is in the crock pot, so I'm having to just let it do its thing and pick up later on. If you're watching this the same day it comes up, it'll come up later than usual, I'm sure. Of course, I don't know. You know what? Sometimes I used to prep, and then I'd go shopping before I even sat down to edit anything. No, but not today. I'm not driving yet. I'll be driving this week when I go to the rehab. But anyway, it is, let me get it, slow cooker, apple, bacon, barbecue, pulled pork. So there you go. And it is made in the crock pot. So I think it's going to be delicious, as well as I think the breakfast is going to be delicious. Now, I didn't look at the time, because hands-on cooking time is different from crock pot. So I wouldn't say, oh, this only took me, or this took me, 5 hours to do, so there's 4 hours of crock pot cooking and an hour. I wouldn't say that, but I will tell you this. I looked at the clock when I started, and I'm not going in any hurry. I can just tell you that. My knee feels great as far as being able to do things the old knee couldn't do, but it still aches, and it gets very stiff when I'm standing up, so I'm kind of slow. So I didn't get in any hurry, but it did take me an hour to prep and get the pulled pork in the crock pot and get the casserole in the oven. I looked at the clock before I started, and then I looked at the clock when I got the casserole in the oven. It was an hour, so an hour to get things started. I don't think that's too bad. I don't think it's too bad. So that's what we're having today. I hope you enjoy these recipes. I hope I enjoy these recipes. Like I said, haven't tasted them yet because they're not through cooking. So we will learn together. Let's turn around and get started cooking. We're going to start today with our pulled pork, because it has to cook in the crock pot. Now, I've already chopped my onion because I didn't have enough left in the fridge. So I just went ahead and chopped the whole big old onion to put in there. And we'll just, the rest, well, we'll talk about it in a minute. And then we need a large apple. So this is the one David picked out. And I don't know what kind it is. I didn't read the tag. I pulled it off. I just told him when he went to the store, I just needed a large red apple, because I don't like green apples. I said, just pick me out the prettiest red apple you find. So I don't know what kind it is, but we need to peel and seed it, core it, dice it. So let me do that. Next, we want our pork tenderloin. You want tenderloins, not pork loin roast. That's a whole different thing. This is a tenderloin. I'm going to cut it open over the sink because it'll make a mess on my cutting board. And I'm going to show you what they look like in case you're not familiar with it. Now, sometimes they come folded up, where I think they cut the tip end of this off because the end gets really skinny. So this was just one piece. I don't know what they did. And if you're wondering, why is she touching meat? That's because pork don't bother me. But what we want to do is just cut these into just a couple smaller chunks. That's all. Just kind of make it fit in the crock pot a little bit better. Oh, and you need 2 pounds. These were 1 pound a piece. One was like a little over a pound. One was like almost on the money. And so now let's go over to the crock pot. All right, the first thing we need is a 1.5 cups of ketchup. And if I'd have been thinking, I would have used my sugar-free ketchup because that would keep the points down and the calories. I don't like eating it, like dipping fries in it, but I don't mind cooking with it. But it didn't even cross my mind until I'd already measured this out. It's a 1.5 cups. So I'm just like, well, I'll just have to go with it. That's all I know because I wasn't going to try to get it back in the bottle. So 1.5 cups of ketchup, 1/3 cup of Worcestershire sauce, 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and this I did remember, 3 tablespoons of brown sugar packed. I used my sugar substitute, my Trivia Sweet Complete, and 2 teaspoons of salt. And we just want to stir that around. All right, now we want to add in, the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of onions. I'm just going to dump onions. Y'all know I love them. So I just say onions to taste. That's usually what I say in most of my recipes. So onions to taste. And then we want to put in our apple. And I just diced it, just yay big. So we'll stir that up. And we're not going to add any water or anything because the pork will let off some juice on its own. Now we're going to drop our pork down in there, and then we're going to nestle it around to get it in the, to get it in the sauce. So I'm just going to turn it to coat it and nestle it down in there. We're going to cover this and cook it on low for 8 hours or high for 4 hours. And I'm going to opt for high since I'm doing this for meal prep and making a video. If I didn't make a video, I'd probably just put it on low and deal with it tonight. But I don't want to be trying to get a video edited tonight. So anyway, we'll cover that, cook it on high for 4 hours. Okay, I'm back. It just dawned on me. You're supposed to fry 4 pieces of bacon and crumble the bacon up in here. But I forgot to buy bacon. And guess what? My breakfast casserole is supposed to have bacon too. And I forgot. I thought I ordered it. I could have swore I ordered it, but apparently I didn't. So I keep bacon grease on my counter. I'm just going to pop in like 2 tablespoons of bacon grease just to give it that flavor. So I'm just going to let it melt down on the top. We'll stir it in later. So 4 slices of bacon, cooked, crumbled, added to this. Or if you forget to buy your bacon, a couple teaspoons of bacon grease. Now for our bubble up, the first thing we need to do is bake a sweet potato. You can bake it any way you want to. In the oven, air fryer, microwave, however you want to do, an Instant Pot. The instructions say to pierce it several times, put it on a plate, and microwave it, I can't remember, 6 to 8 minutes, I think. I'm going to use my potato bag. And the instructions on here does not say to do this, but this is how I did my old potato bag that I had bought from the bank many, many years ago that started catching on fire because it was so old, and a subscriber sent me this, so this is what I've been using now for a few years. But wash your, and it doesn't say what size, so I'm going to weigh this after it's cooked so I know how much cooked sweet potato is going in the recipe. So what I do is wet it, roll it in a paper towel, put it down in the potato bag. I tell you, if you don't have one of these potato bags, you're missing out. This is how I make our baked potatoes, unless it's just like cool outside and I don't mind turning on the oven, for an hour. Sometimes I make it in the air fryer, but most of the time I make them right here in this little bag. And so I'm going to do this one. I'm going to check it after 5 minutes, but do your sweet potato, and I'm just going to say a size like I had for the size casserole dish, but I guess it's kind of up to interpretation since it didn't list. But anyway, while this is cooking, it gives me time to preheat my oven to 350 and start getting my ingredients together. All right, remember when I told you bacon went in this recipe too? We don't have it. I'm not going to add bacon grease because you drain the bacon grease, and this is not something that I think needs extra grease floating around in it. So we're just going to ignore the fact that it had bacon. But we are going to, if you have bacon, cook it, crumble it, drain the grease, then cook your sausage. You need a pound of breakfast sausage. And y'all know my favorite is Niece's. It's pretty local to us. And it's just very fresh and very delicious. So we will just cook this, break it, crumble it, just like you do hamburger. And while this is cooking, we're going to come over here and work on our biscuits. So hang on just a second and I'll move you over. All right, maybe the sausage won't be too loud. Just need a can of biscuits. This is a 7.5 ounce can. This just comes from Walmart's. Just regular biscuits. You don't want the grands or the butter flakies or none of the specialties. Just biscuits. See what it says? Just biscuits. This is buttermilk. So there's 10 in it. Let me find and these are what you call wop biscuits. That's what I grew up calling them, because you take them and you whop them on the counter and they open right up. So we just need to cut these into quarters and put them in our baking dish. This is a 9 by 13 inch baking dish that I sprayed with a little cooking spray. We'll just scatter them around. Okay, just kind of scatter them around evenly as best you can. Now we're going to work on our sweet potato, if it's cool enough to handle, that is. I hope I didn't cook it too long. You might can peel this is hot. Oh, by the way, it helps if you read all the way through. When you read the directions or the ingredients, don't take that as the last you hear of it. Read through to the directions, because when I was over there reading, it said you want 6 ounces of cooked sweet potato. Well, I can look at this and tell you right now this ain't 6 ounces, but we're going with what we got. That's all I know to do. I mean, I have another sweet potato, but I'm not gonna worry with it. I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference. Let me get my scales out. This is just so I know how much to add to my recipe builder. Oh, that's half as much sweet potatoes we need, but that's okay. I'm not going to fool with it. 6 ounces of cooked sweet potatoes is what you're supposed to have. I'm going with 3. You just want to dice it up. Okay, we're going to see if we can scatter that around. And that's stuck together. Honestly, this looks like enough sweet potato to me. Just to be honest, I think that looks fine. Okay, well, let me tend to my sausage and I'll be back. Our sausage is ready. So I'm just going to just add it around. See, I don't really think it needs bacon and sausage. I could be wrong, but you do whatever you feel like doing. Now we're going to set this aside for a moment. We need 4 eggs. Okay, now this part doesn't matter on Weight Watchers, but I guess it matters to her recipe. We just need 4 egg whites. And I could save these yolks, but I'm not going to eat them. And David, he takes yolks out of his eggs for breakfast, so they'll just have to count as a loss. I know somebody's screaming saying, "No, you could do so and so." Well, you go ahead and tell me what I could have done, and then I'll know next time. Because this time, nothing's coming to mind. Did I just do 4 or 5? I think I was talking and lost count. Oh, well, if I did 5, I don't think it's going to matter. Oops, let me find something to beat these with. Hold on. And you'll see there's some egg yolk that got in here. It doesn't matter in this case because we're not whipping the whites. We're not beating them. Because if you beat egg whites to make stiff peaks or however you're going to do that, any bit of egg yolk and they're not going to whip properly. But that's not what we're doing with them here, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to beat my whole eggs and add my either 4 or 5 egg whites and hoping that that little bit of egg's not going to make a difference. And we just need salt and pepper to taste. I know it looks like I'm shaking a lot, but really not that much comes out. And there is salt in the sausage, and there will be salt in the cheese. Recipe calls for red pepper, but we don't do that. So if you want to add some crushed red pepper, you can add that, but I'm not going to do that. Now let's pull this back over here. And see if we can get this poured evenly over top. I'm just going to give it a little shake. I think as it cooks, it'll all even out. Now this will go in 350-degree oven for 25 minutes. Then we'll pull it out and put some cheese on it. So I'll be right back then. Okay, so here we go after 25 minutes. Oh, it looks good. It smells good. Now, the recipe calls for 4 ounces, and I was over there putting it in the recipe builder, and I'm like, you know what? That 4 ounces, that's a lot of cheese. And so I'm thinking, is that too much cheese? The only difference is a point. If you put the whole 4 ounces, it's a point higher than if you put the 2 ounces. But I'm going to put on 2 ounces and see, because it is difference in calories. It's more difference in calories than it would be in points. No, I want to weigh the whole thing. So I'm going to take it down to 26.1 and see what 2 ounces of cheese looks like. Honestly, I'm going to leave it at 2 because I think 4 ounces is kind of just gilding the lily. I think maybe you just need enough to taste, but you don't need it. Just like some casseroles are just better with the ooey gooey cheese. I don't think it's going to really make a difference. You use your judgment, but I'm going to do 2 ounces of cheese. And this pops back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Here it is after 10 minutes. I think that's a good amount of cheese. It's not overly dressed. Like I said, you do what you think you should do, but don't be afraid to play around with recipes. Now, her recipe says it is 6 servings, but that's going to be entirely too big for me to eat. So I'm going to make it 8 servings. So we'll cut it in half. And then we'll cut it in half again. That could still be a little bit too big. We'll see. Oh, and by the way, this basket does not go in the oven. This is just an old-timey from the 80s basket that I just have some old ribbon wrapped around, and it's just as a caddy for the casserole dish. There we go. Well, it sets up nice. I think it looks very nice. Now let me let it cool off, and I'll give it a taste and let you know what I think. Okay, so you can see I cut it all up because I was looking for sweet potato. I said when I made the casserole, that looked like enough sweet potato. It's not. Go for the full 6 ounces because I had to find a bite with some sweet potato in it. And when I did, oh my goodness, it's very, very good. I didn't know how it would translate. You know, it's good. I would not skimp on the sweet potato. Unless you don't like sweet potatoes and leave them out. And it'll still be good. Because the bite I took didn't have any. It was still good. So, this is a hit. That's the only thing I changed. I would even add another egg or so. Just to kind of help around the bread. It's not dry. But it's very biscuity. I think another egg, whatever, wouldn't hurt it. If I made it again, that's probably what I'd do. But there you have it. There's my tore up plate of very good bubble up. So, the next thing up, we will see our pulled pork. Little while for me, minute for you. All right, this cooked for 4 hours, almost 4.5 hours. On high. I come in here and checked it at 3.5 hours, and it was not tender. I mean, it was tender, but it was not fork flaking apart tender. And so my alarm went off, and David asked me, did I hear it? And I'm like, yeah, but I got to let it go more because it's just not enough. Well, I thought I need him to take me somewhere because I'm tired of sitting in the house. So I thought, well, I'll come over here and check this pork. And when I did, ouch, Ooh, that's hot. Hold on, let me get out there. It flaked apart. Look at that. That was just with an extra half hour added on. So I don't know, maybe at 4 hours it was flaky, but at 3.5 it absolutely 100% was not. So you just check yours, and when it gets flaky, stop it so it doesn't get dried out. So let me flake this apart. Okay, I got that. I think I got it all shredded. Now let's put it back into the sauce. I did not weigh the whole amount of pork, but I think I want it in 4-ounce portions. So, and the sauce, you can see it's not thick, but I don't really think it needs to be, honestly. And I'm not sure. Oh, there's one I missed. Typically, you would weigh the whole amount of your recipe and then decide how many servings it would be. I don't know. I'm kind of torn here how I want to do this because of the sauce in with it. Let me think on that, and I'll come back and tell you. Okay, I want 5 servings. What's left, I'm going to put in the freezer. But I'm going to try to get this, keep it stirred around. Hold on. So that when I scoop it out, it's all going to have sauce in it. And I'm going to try to do it evenly so I can get a proper, instead of just counting out the meat, we need to count the sauce too, because it is all mixed in together. So I'm going to try to, like I say, scoop a little bit of that. And I want 4-ounce servings. $3.8. Okay, that's good. So actually, I might need a little bit more than that. Let's make it 5. Because part of that weight is the sauce. I know that's going to be too much. That's 6. There we go, 4.9. So I want 5 5-ounce servings, and then we'll weigh what's left. And that'll give us a correct amount of servings for the whole entire. The easiest way would be if you just weighed the whole thing and then separated out how many, how big you want your servings to be, and that's how many servings you would have. But I'm going at it kind of backwards, but that's okay. It'll work too. Look at there, 5 on the nose. And the reason I want 5 servings is because I only have 5 bowls left. So we're going to have 5 servings. That'll give me 5 days, which works perfect if you ask me. Okay, 5.1. Now hold on, let me find something to, I can get that in the bowl we use. Let's try that. So we're just going to put all the rest of this in this bowl and see how much we have left. Okay, we'll call that 30 ounces. Oh, you can't see. 29.7. That's 30 ounces plus our 25, so that's 55 ounces. 30 ounces, that'll be 6. That's 11 servings. We got 11 servings out of this, and that is how I'm going to build my recipe. So let's go over to the other side of the kitchen and see what we've made today. So here are the two things we made today. We made lunch, and of course the points will be on the screen. I have 6, 7, 8, because I ate one. We had 8 servings of our bubble up breakfast casserole. And then for our, let's see, slow cooker, apple bacon, you know what? I didn't taste this. Hold on, let me taste it. Just let me put you on hold a second. Well, boy, let me tell you, this is some flavorful barbecue. Very flavorful. Oh my goodness, it's delicious. So I ended up with 11 servings. I'm going to have 5 this week. This I'm going to put in a bag and pop in the freezer for another either prep, or if David wants to have pork one day that week, we can have this because I'd really like him to taste it. I think he would like it. And then the points for ketchup, I'll put the points for regular ketchup here, and then the points for sugar-free ketchup here. And hold on, let me go back over here. The points for 2 ounces of cheese here, and the points for 4 ounces of cheese here. So there you know the difference in those ingredients. So that is all for me today. I hope if you're prepping something good, and I will see you. You know what? I don't really know, so I will just see you when I see you.